Minnesota Vikings request an interview with another defensive coordinator candidate. Welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus Show. And good morning. It is bright and early. I still have my robe on, still drinking my coffee because the news broke. The Minnesota Vikings have requested to interview associate head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, Sean Desai, for the defensive coordinator position. Before we get into that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the vids. Also, hit up Lift Bridge Brewing Company at the facility in Stillwater, or find their delicious beers at a liquor store near you. And if you want to do any Viking shopping, look in the description below. We got some links to some sweet Vikings merch. All right, Sean Desai. This was a guy we talked about on the top 5 options video a couple days ago, and now the Vikings have requested to interview him. That's 2 off that list. So what a list we put together there. Let's look at Sean Desai and get to know who this character actually is. All right. So he began coaching at Temple. He's Temple tough. 2006 as a defensive end and special teams coach. He then became the assistant director of football operations at the University of Miami. 1 year at Boston College. Then he was hired by the Bears as their quality control coach. Then he promoted to safeties coach for 2019 and defensive coordinator in 2021. He then joined the Seahawks when Matt Nagy was fired, and he became their associate head coach, working closely with the secondary. Sean Desai has been given credit for the development of Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen, which, a guy who can work with the secondary and is kind of a secondary whisperer. Look at the young corners on the Vikings roster. That is very, very attractive, and that is very, very tempting. When he was the defensive coordinator of the Bears, the Chicago defense ranked 6th in fewest yards allowed, 22 in fewest points allowed, 23 in fewest rushing yards allowed, and 3 in fewest passing yards allowed. So again, this is the second guy. I think Ryan Nielsen was the same way, who they requested to interview last night. These guys are giving up low passing yards every single year. So something the Vikings definitely realize is an issue. When you're giving up 400 per game, you want a guy who can maybe cut that number in half. He did interview for the Vikings defensive coordinator job a year ago, so it's not like he's unfamiliar with Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi. He's already been through this once with them, so we'll see how interview number 2 goes. I did a little research I have some coffee here. A little research on Sean Desai, and I found this little article. I think when he was hired with the Bears, it was 5 things to know about Sean Desai, and it's coming from him. Number 1 is that he has 3 core values to his defense: tackling, running to the ball, taking the ball away. Those are his 3 core values, and yeah, I can get on board with those. He's open to input from his players. He even has like a suggestion box outside his office. So that's kind of nice to hear. If the player thinks something should happen one way, he's not opposed to hearing what they have to say. The defense has a takeaway basket, and I'm not really sure what this one's all about, but there's a blue tub on the practice field that is kept nearby in case the defense creates a turnover. The player that snatches the ball dunks it into the tub. So, I mean, is it full of water? Is it like a ball pit? I don't know what's going on there. He's see the ball. Stresses we're seeing the ball. That's another key element. He preaches that see the ball, see the ball, see the ball, which is, the Vikings defense last year, I don't think they even knew a ball was on the field at sometimes. And he is also very organized. Sean Desai has his shit together. So that's Sean Desai in a nutshell. Vikings requesting permission to interview him. I think the Dolphins have also requested permission to interview him. And I do believe he actually interviewed for the Browns defensive coordinator that went to Jim Schwartz. So this guy's already been around the circuit a little bit. We'll see where this goes. But so far, the 3 names we're hearing: Brian Flores, Ryan Nielsen, and Sean Desai. Not too shabby at all. All right, I will be all over these as they break. Maybe there'll be another one today. Who knows? But until then, guys, keep your skull in your hole.